the Weekly Show with David J. Maloney. This week, David chats with legendary Jackyl frontman Jesse James Dupree. And now, here's your host, David J. Maloney.
Welcome, everyone, to the Weekly Show. I'm your host, David J. Maloney. On tonight's show, we've got a really special guest. As frontman for the platinum-selling rock band Jackyl, he's been at the forefront of the rock world since the 90s, collaborating with AC/DC's Brian Johnson and also producing some incredible solo records, one of which is his brand new record, Breathing Fire. Back with us again after the break to chat about his incredible life, career, and rock and roll is none other than Jackyl frontman Jesse James Dupree. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Speaking of songs that turned out incredible, the band's next album, Push Comes to Shove, featuring a single track of the same name that went on to become the highest charting single. I mean, wow, what a song. When you guys were laying down that track, how soon did you realize you had something? Did your producer, Bruce, feel it as well?
Yeah, Bruce Fairbairn, he was a big part of the record, but the bigger part of the record was Mike Fraser. Mike Fraser and Bruce Fairbairn, Mike engineered all the stuff like Permanent Vacation and all the stuff that Fairbairn was famous for producing. Mike Fraser engineered, and they had so much success that Fraser, deservingly so, asked for some participation in the credits and stuff, and Fairbairn said no. So Fraser stopped working with Fairbairn, and then Fairbairn made the 9 Lives record with Aerosmith without Mike Fraser, and it was a bit of a catastrophe because Tyler, when left to his own, Tyler will put a gazillion tracks down, I guess. I wasn't there, but this is what I kind of put 2 and 2 together. And they were going to can that record. It wasn't going to come out because nobody could do anything with it. And I suggested to John Kalodner that he let Brendan O'Brien try to mix it, because Bob Claremountain and all these people had tried to mix the record, but nobody had been able to get it together. Mike Klink, just all these people. But so Fairbairn had turned the record over, and Brendan O'Brien went in and just pushed up 2 guitar, bass, and drums and saved the record. And so from that point, I took it on a mission to have Mike Fraser and Bruce Fairbairn work together again. So I don't know if they ever worked together after us, but I put them together, I think, for what was maybe their last collaboration. But Fairbairn was at that point of his career where he would just show up. For a few hours a day, and then Fraser would do the rest of the work. And so I got all the respect in the world for Bruce Fairbairn, but Mike Fraser was great.
Moving forward slightly, with 2 platinum records under your belt, you guys famously landed a spot at the Woodstock 94 concert, which I was at, as a result of your growing popularity. Do you remember the moment you got word it was officially happening? And did you get word from Michael Lang himself or from somebody else?
No, it was a dinner. Am I okay right here for a few minutes doing this interview? Okay, so I'm in the Harley Davidson headquarters here, and they're coming and getting ready for an event. So that you see that behind me, that's a piece of art. Willie G. Davidson, who I call the godfather of the rebirth of Harley, he's everything for Harley, and he drew that on the wall. It's pretty cool. But that's what's behind. But I'm here. We're getting ready for Harley Davidson's anniversary week. No, the reason we were at Woodstock 94, I attribute to a dinner. There was a dinner that we had with the head guy from BMI, Larry Hamby from A&M Records, a bunch of the other guys that were the producers, and we had a big dinner in New York, and we were at the Four Seasons Hotel, and everybody had a few drinks and was acting crazy and whatever. And my attorney was there, and he was kind of egging me on. I was just doing my rock thing, somehow or another I ended up standing up at the table and pulling my pants down or something and just acting a fool. And it was all we were all being goofy and funny. But in the middle of the Four Seasons, I'm standing there basically shooting the moon to everybody. But it was a funny little thing. But yeah, right after that, they offered us, we went on at dusk on a Friday night of Woodstock 94, just a prime slot. It was a great slot, great show. It was a moment in history. I mean, I was glad we were there and just see all the legends that were there, everybody from Joe Cocker to Metallica to you name it. It was pretty cool.
Did you get to stay and catch the whole thing? I mean, it became a muddy mess. I did, fortunately, because I grew up in Woodstock, I was able to retreat and go sleep on my mom's sofa instead of in a muddy tent. But I mean, there were some I remember, I think to me, one of the most incredible things was when Henry Rollins was playing. I don't know if you got to see that, but
I remember he played, but I didn't get a chance to see Henry. They had the multiple stage. I think I don't know if he was on the other stage. I think.
Yeah,
I believe. The second stage.
Thunderstorm came in, and instead of him retreating with all the electrical, as the storm got stronger, they played harder, and it was just insane. But it was like one of the like you said, moments that you'll just remember forever. It was just insane.
Yeah, we were there for a couple of days because we were out with Aerosmith at the time. We were on tour with Aerosmith, and they were playing the next night, them and Metallica, and so yeah, so we got to be there, and it was God. There's just so many long stories I could tell you about that, but that was a hell of an experience. And what is it now? I mean, I guess we're 30 years away from that. It's the 30-year anniversary this year. Yeah. Of that festival.
Yep.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Michael passed, so who knows if there'll ever be another. And if there is, it's not going to be something under Michael's helm.
Was it John Shore? He had an army behind him on that Woodstock 94 and the one right after that.
Yeah. The one in Rome that went nuts.
Yeah. A&M owns all that content.
I'm curious, as we move forward to your brand new record, Breathing Fire, which features an incredible song co-written by you and AC/DC's Brian Johnson, Never Gets Old. At what point, I guess the better way to put it is, how soon after Jackyl came onto the scene did you actually get to meet Brian?
Well, we came out, obviously, a lot of people compared he and I, our singing styles, and right out of the gate. So the first album came out in 92. So by 95, I'd gotten an invitation through an agent that his wife was requesting me to be at a private event she was hosting to benefit an old Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey circus down in Sarasota, Florida, that they were trying to renovate. And so I got down to that event, and Duck Dunn was there from the Blues Brothers, and Tina Turner's band leader was there, and Cliff from AC/DC was there, and Brian, and I mean, just a lot of people that were there. And it was really cool. And we all just had a great hang, and Brian invited me to come stay with him and write songs. And I thought, again, kind of like Steve Walsh, I thought he was just maybe full of it, and just being nice. And he'd given me his number, but what was I going to do? Call him, hey, Brian, this is Jesse. Can I come stay at your house? I wasn't going to be that guy. And I ended up getting a card from him about 2 months later, he had written his phone number on again, saying, hey, I never heard from you. Give me a call. Let's get together. And I went, okay. So I called him, and he said, get down here, me son. Let's write some songs, and that's when we wrote Locked and Loaded. And he's just a great guy.
What do you think makes him such a fantastic artist and for you, writing partner?
He comes from blue collar. I mean, the guy, he's just a working class guy. And there's just something about his sense of just power and the way he phrases things up. And I mean, it's just, and of course, I'm such a huge fan of the band. It's not hard for me when I pick a guitar up, it's not hard for me to be able to kind of channel things that I think would excite Brian, or just in general, if I've got something that I think, well, Brian would be perfect to work on this. I call him up and say, hey, I got something, you got to help me out with. He'll say, send it down here, and he's just a great guy. He comes and stays at the house. There's no bodyguards, or he's everything you'd want the lead singer of AC/DC to be.
Let's talk about the new record, Breathing Fire, and the brand new music video for Stranded. How did this album originally come about? I mean, if I'm not mistaken, it was almost by accident, right? Or no?
The whole thing was by accident. I just had some song ideas that I was sitting on the couch and I was recording on my cell phone recorder, and my son walked in the door. He lives up in Nashville, and he come down to Atlanta, and I didn't know he was coming home. I told him, I said, go lace up the drums, and because he came home for a free meal because he's a starving musician, but we feed him, and and so he came in, and I said, go lace up the drums. He went and I called Roman. He came over, and we just jammed. We just had fun, and I still wasn't planning on putting a record out. And then the phone rang, and about 2 days after we laid the stuff down, and hey, Jesse, how you doing, me son? And I said, well, I wasn't gonna call you, but since you call me, you got to help me write these songs. And they just kind of, and so once we had written Never Gets Old, I mean, at that point, I knew I was going to be putting it out, and it, when got up inside the active rock charts, media based, which was a big deal, and now the second single just debuted inside the top 40, and I think it's number 33 today on the active rock charts and climbing. So it's a big deal. I'm excited about it. It's a fun song. It's a serious song. It means a lot to me, where it came from, the song Stranded. And the video, if you haven't seen the video for Stranded, it's shot out in South Dakota, out in Sturgis, and just so many things just happened naturally. I was riding this horse, pulling a horse with an empty saddle, and they were shooting me going up to the top of this hill, and we get up there, and here comes 100 buffalo.
I was going to ask you about the buffalo.
If I'd had to pay for that, it would have cost me $300,000. I mean, it just happened.
That I was going to very specifically, I was very specifically going to ask you about that, because I was going to go, how did that buffalo shot in the video come back? I mean, aside from this show, I produced hundreds of commercials and a documentary, so I know a shot like that is tough to land on purpose. So I was going to ask you, was there planning for that shot, or was it a happy accident?
That entire video is a happy accident.
That's I mean, the buffalo shot is just so cool in that. So I presume, is that the song from this record that you're most proud of, or is there another one on there that I know it's like trying to pick which child's your favorite, but still.
Yeah. I think Stranded is probably the one that means the most to me. But I'm proud of the whole album. The album, I mean, from beginning to end is a work. I mean, it takes you on a journey, and I love that. There's a song called Born to Ride the Lightning that is just that, and Lay It On Me. I mean, I used to start naming the songs off. I mean, the Breathing Fire album. It's a serious rock record. And I mean, Roman and Nigel, drums and bass. I mean, they didn't overplay. They just laid it down. And I used an old Fender Tone Master with no master volume. So all the sounds on the record are pure. And I think you can tell that when you hear it. It's a strong record.
I think there was one Rush album where they did something like that, where they went straight back to basics and just raw and pure. And there's something about it. You miss those days, and you miss the days when albums flowed. You know what I mean? Because now everything is, you get one song here and one song there. And I miss the days where you could listen to an album from beginning to end. It didn't have to be a theme album like 2112, but the album had flow. You know what I mean? And I miss those.
Well, that's where this came from, because I went back and listened to some albums from beginning to end, because I felt guilty that I'd not done that. So I believe that influence of me reminding myself what it was like. Bands have major blow-ups about the order of a record and the order of the songs. I mean, it's a serious thing, and it's lost now because people don't listen to full albums. And but I invite you to go listen to the Breathing Fire album from beginning to end. I mean, from beginning to end, it's an incredible balance, and I think you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm very proud of it.
Oh, I was going to say, and you mentioned it, you talked about how simply listening to these old albums, and I presume AC/DC is in the mix, and it reminds you how much you love the genre. And I mean, at this point in your career, you've played with so many of the greats. You mentioned Aerosmith earlier. As I recall, ZZ Top was in the mix, and so many more. I mean, is that what keeps you coming back to rock and makes you want to create new songs and get on a tour bus and play again?
It's not playing again. I mean, it's just to continue to do it. It's all I've known. I mean, people go, it must be hard to be on the road. I don't know anything else. I mean, and if I'm home for more than a week, my wife is looking at me saying, "Don't you have somewhere to go?" It's like, I mean, it's just inherently in our DNA, and I can't imagine it stopping. When the intro tape rolls at night and the crowd's out there making noise and the energy's in the room and the band kicks into playing before I hit the stage, it doesn't go past me. I think one day this will all be over, but I don't want that day to come.
It's the dopamine, right? Well, speaking of getting on a tour bus, tell us about your new tour.
Well, Jackyl's still out doing a whole bunch of dates this year. And that was already planned prior to the solo album taking off like it's doing, because it's well over 500,000 streams right out of the gate, and the video's doing great for both. The Never Gets Old video did great, but I got several videos we put out of that just having fun. But the Stranded video is doing really great, and we're gonna see where it goes with radio. I am gonna go out and do some more solo. I've done some solo shows. I did a week's worth of dates recently, and I'm going to go do another run in October. And because how cool is it to play with my son? I mean, Nigel, there's not a lot of father-son, bands, and so I'm proud to be playing with my son.
I'd like to chat for just a minute about your voice, because, I mean, obviously it's unique in a lot of ways. But I mean, my vocal cords hurt just trying to sing along with you. So how do you protect and preserve your voice, especially when you're doing show after show like that, and the way that you kind of scream? Or is it natural for you and you don't have to do anything?
I don't do nothing.
That's amazing.
I don't warm up. I don't warm up. I don't take care of myself vocally. I don't baby myself. If I'm tattered from the night before from blaring, and singing, I don't wake up and pamper myself. I just talk through the day and, drink water and just, I guess my secret would be, sometimes I feel like I need a Taco Bell, and I'll go get a Taco Bell with some hot sauce. The hot sauce opens up my sinuses and the grease coats my throat. And other than that, that's all I do. I just hit it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So Jesse, you've got such a wide range of interests and projects. So aside from the Jackyl tour and your upcoming solo tour we talked about earlier, what's next on tap that our audience should look out for?
Well, I was just in Milwaukee. I got tapped to produce some of the RNC events for some of the state delegations. Mm-hmm. And I never preach politics, and I think anybody that gets overly vested in either side, I scratch my head if somebody gets over enthusiastic about either one of the sides, because it's turned into a WWE wrestling scene. But I do lean more conservative. I believe in less government, if you want to hear my politics. But nonetheless, I was up here because I'd been tapped to produce some of the RNC events because of my production company. So we did that, and then I went out on the road, did Jackyl shows. I'm up in Milwaukee this week producing Harley Davidson's anniversary events. I'm here at the Harley Davidson Museum, and I get that up and going, and then I get back on our tour bus this weekend. And then the tour bus drops me on Monday morning in Detroit, and I fly to Sturgis to get my 600 acres of Full Throttle Saloon Pappy Oil campground because we got about 1 million people that's going to come hug my neck in a week. So yeah, we do a lot of stuff. I got the Jesse James bourbon is doing really great, and proud of that. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, it's what I call Liquid America. And I'm just rocking. Just wake up every day. The one thing I know I'm not doing right now is I'm not having to pour concrete, which is what I'm probably suited for. But and that's what I used to do. I'll do it again if that's what it takes to feed my babies. But right now I'm getting away with more than I should and just loving every bit of it.
That's awesome. Where can our audience follow you? What social media platforms are you on?
Jesse James Dupree at Instagram, and Jesse James Dupree on Facebook. And then of course, Jackyl has its website, Instagram and such. So it's just either Jackyl or Jesse James Dupree.
Jesse, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, buddy. And I appreciate all the time. You guys keep it right here dialed in on everything that is rock. We'll see. Appreciate it.
You got it. Ladies and gentlemen, Jesse James Dupree. That's our show for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. A special thanks to Jesse James Dupree for joining us once again. Stay safe, everyone.